Sullivan's Crossing just gave us the episode we have been dreading since Maggie fell through that bathroom floor in episode 6. The kiss is out. Cal knows. And the conversation that followed, the one where Liam looked Cal directly in the face and said seeing her again made him realize he is still in love with her, is not the conversation either of these men wanted to have. And I honestly could not look away from a single second of it. Let's talk about everything that happened in episode 8. The fight between Cal and Maggie that started with one sentence and ended with the phone going unanswered. What Liam told Cal that changes the entire shape of this triangle. What Ben confessed that broke my heart in a way I was not prepared for. And why an accidental freezer situation between Amir and Sydney managed to be the warmest moment in an episode full of things going wrong. Because this show packed a lot into this hour, and every single storyline earned its place. First, Maggie and Cal, because this is where the episode begins and where the real damage lives. She says it was just one kiss. He says Maggie hasn't been honest with him since Liam got there. She says some things are too difficult for people to talk about. And I want to sit with that for a moment. Because Maggie is not wrong. There are things in a person's history, things that belong to a version of yourself you thought was safely in the past, that genuinely resist being spoken out loud. But Cal is also not wrong, because the pattern he has been watching all season, the careful silences, the half-answered questions, the years she never told him about, adds up to something that looks a lot like a woman protecting a secret she was never sure she could give up. And then Cal's phone rings, a call about Ben, and he takes it and he walks away from the conversation without finishing it. And Maggie returns to the cabin later to find him gone. She calls him. He ignores it. She leaves a voicemail asking for a chance to explain. And, the call sitting unanswered on Cal's phone is honestly one of the most accurate images this show has produced of what it looks like when two people who love each other cannot find the bridge back to each other. The distance between them right now is not anger. It is the much harder thing. It is hurt. Now, Cal and Liam, because this conversation had been building all season, and episode 8 finally puts them in the same room with nowhere to hide, Cal confronts Liam about meddling in Maggie's life. Liam says he needed closure and the papers for his visa. That is how he explains it. Closure. Papers. The most practical possible framing for what has clearly been something much more personal since the moment he arrived at the crossing. And then Liam stops pretending. Seeing her again made him realize he's still in love with her and he thinks she feels the same. And Cal does what Cal always does. He goes straight to the moral center of the situation. Cal says Maggie's been through a lot and is finally in a good place. If you love her, you'd want her to be happy. Liam says she can be happy with me. Cal says it's not up to you. And I honestly love this exchange more than almost any scene this season. Because Cal is not wrong. Loving someone does not automatically entitle you to them. And Liam knows that, which is why his next line lands the way it does. Liam says, no, it's not. That's why I gave Maggie the signed divorce papers. The signed papers. He is not fighting for the marriage legally. He is choosing to set Maggie free on paper while simultaneously staying to fight for her heart. And his publisher tells him he is making a big mistake. And Liam says, I won't know if I don't try. And I honestly do not know whose side I am on right now. Which means this show is doing exactly what it is supposed to do now. Sedona. Because Cal's sister is doing something in this episode that is more important than it might look on the surface. Sedona tells Cal that he might be getting too close to the Ben situation. He says he can't turn his back on him. She asks if he's sure this is all about Ben. She says maybe the situation is opening some old wounds. He says he's just trying to help Ben keep his family together. She says that won't change what they went through. And this moment tells us something about Cal. That the Maggie and Liam drama has been drowning out. Cal has his own history with family being torn apart. His own wounds from a childhood where keeping people together was not possible no matter how hard he tried. And Ben is not just a kid he wants to help. Ben is a mirror. And Sedona, who screwed up her own marriage and is still working through what that means, is the one person in Cal's life right now who can see that clearly. Later, Sedona tells Cal that she screwed up her marriage, but he's her big brother, and he said he would be there for her. These two siblings, both carrying the wreckage of relationships they could not save, sitting with each other and saying, "We are still here." That is the quietest and most genuinely moving scene in the episode. And then there is Ben. And I need to talk about Ben separately because what he reveals in this episode is the kind of thing that changes how you understand every scene he has been in all season. Ben says he doesn't see how things will get better and that this whole thing is his fault. Sedona says his mother should have never put this kind of responsibility on him. Ben says he was supposed to hang out with his friends, but his mom wanted him to watch Tracy. He told her she was a terrible mother, and he hated her. And this kid stops talking, and you understand everything. His mother left, and he does not know if she left because of what he said. He does not know if those words were the last thing that pushed her out the door. He has been carrying the weight of having said, "I hate you" to a woman who was struggling, and who then disappeared, and he has had nobody to tell that to until this moment. Cal says kids get mad at their parents all the time. Ben says she was depressed, and if I didn't say anything, she wouldn't have left. I honestly had to pause after that line, because that is not a television storyline about a difficult teenager. That is a specific and deeply real kind of guilt that no kid should carry alone. And Cal holding space for that instead of dismissing it or fixing it too quickly is the most important thing he does in this entire episode. Now, Carol. Because the health emergency subplot carries more emotional weight than its screen time suggests. Edna goes to visit Carol for help with the pies and finds her on the ground. And Maggie arrives and assesses her. She has a broken arm, and Maggie suspects it might have been a blockage of blood from the heart to the brain. Maggie calls an ambulance. Carol has been one of the quieter presences at the crossing all season. The person who keeps things running in the background while everyone else's drama takes center stage. And seeing her on the ground is a reminder that while Maggie and Cal and Liam are caught up in a love triangle, the people around them are living full lives that also need attending to. And the freezer. Because this episode needed one moment of warmth, and Amir and Sydney delivered it completely unexpectedly. Amir and Sydney are still in the freezer when the fans kick on. He tells her they should huddle together to avoid freezing. He asks what has been bothering her. She tells him what Rob Shandon said about him being a player. He says, "You think I'm playing you?" She says, "Maybe." He says, "When I was focused on my restaurant, I didn't have time for long-term relationships, but I realized what a mistake that was." They end up kissing just as an employee opens the door. And then the morning after, Amir tells Sydney he had a nice time yesterday and hopes she can show him around a bit more. She tells him he is a nice guy, but she needs to focus on herself. He says he gets it. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. which is exactly the rhythm this show has always understood about how people actually navigate being hurt and wanting to try again anyway. 2 episodes remain in season 4. The rift between Cal and Maggie is the widest it has been all season. Liam has handed over the divorce papers, but made it clear he is staying to fight for her. Ben is carrying guilt that is going to take a lot of careful handling from the people who love him, and Carol is in hospital. On the CW. You can watch it free on the CW app the same day. And if you need to catch up, seasons 1 through 3 are on Netflix right now. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think Maggie is going to choose Cal or Liam? And did Ben's confession hit you as hard as it hit me? Because after that scene with Cal and Sedona holding space for him, I honestly think the most important love story in this episode was not the triangle at all.